G'day folks, Wren here, and it is time for February's TBRGate with a brand new board. It's finally here. I said back in December, I believe, that I was going to redo the board. It was a totally last minute decision to do this. Like, this video is going to go through all of the changes that I made. I will go through the rules of the game just as a bit of a refresher. First, the board. It's smaller. It is so much smaller, and honestly that was like the main thing I wanted because the board that I had was absolutely massive. Because of the way I had set out all of the prompts, like, I don't know how, but I kind of kept getting the same prompts every month or every other month, like they kept being repeated. I figured, let's like randomize the board. So we did that. And then I just started making it look pretty because I knew that I was not going to have a spinner wheel this time around. While that was great and I thought that was very fun, I didn't want to do it anymore. So I'm not having a spinner wheel. So because of that, there was this huge open space in the middle. So I was like, why don't I actually put the name of the game on the board? As if I shouldn't have done that in the first place. If you're unaware, TBRGate is a TBR game based off my favourite TV show, which is Stargate Atlantis. Stargate Atlantis is a spin-off of Stargate SG-1, if you didn't know. Now I say that because this Stargate, the symbols that are on it, relate to the symbols on a Stargate Atlantis gate. A Stargate in this world is where it's like a portal. You know, you walk through this, you can go to another planet. That's the gist. That doesn't mean anything for this game, but just so you know what this circular thing is. And you need 7 glyphs to then transport you to another planet. Because of that, every month I'll have 7 glyphs, so that is 7 prompts. So we have all of these glyphs, which you'll see better once I like get closer to the board. But yeah, all of these are all different glyphs. From now on, in this game, I'm going to roll a dice. I'm going to roll a d20. Now for this round, I lost my dice bag. I have no idea where it's gone. So I didn't have a d20 available. So I just got 2 d6 dice and I rolled those. I will roll a d20. That will take me around the board. And I have to keep going until I get 7 glyphs. Because that has to be the minimum. No matter what happens in the game, 7 glyphs is what I have to get. Each of the glyphs then relates to an episode from Stargate Atlantis. And all of these episodes that I've chosen, they're some of my favorites from all 5 seasons. And then those episodes, I have kind of found a book prompt that works for that specific episode. So for instance, the very first episode of the series is called Rising. Because it's the first of this spin-off series, the prompt for it is to start a new series. You get the gist. Then these chevrons, I also can sometimes land on these. When I land on a chevron, I have to pick up a character card. Now, these character cards have gone through a big change in this new round. Before I had the character card, and before I had 3 prompts I could choose from, I have dialed that back down to 2 prompts that I could choose from. Okay, let's pick one of my favourite characters, shall we? These are what the character cards look like, and this is Dr. Rodney McKay, my favourite character of the show. So, for him we have 2 prompts. I could either read a most anticipated book or read a book from my favourite author. Anytime I land on a chevron and I get a character card, that does not equal a glyph. So I could have 50 character cards come up and still only have 5 glyphs. I still have to keep going until I get the 7 glyphs. Because the character cards do not relate to that 7, you know? So these are just like extra challenges for myself because I love to torture myself, apparently. So then that's kind of the basics of the board. Those are only kind of where the changes happened. So the changes were the character cards, the prompts for those changed, and the number of prompts that I could choose from changed. The board itself kind of changed. It just looks prettier now, but I kind of clicked shuffle on the prompts basically. So before, the way I had it set out was the first space was from season 1, space 2 was from season 2, 3 was from season 3, 4, 5, 5. 6 goes back to the first season, and so I had it going sequentially like that around the board. I completely shuffled them. I did like random number generators like 50 times to get different numbers all around the board. So that just kind of got shuffled. Then the prompts for the episodes, some of them changed, some of them stayed the same. Again, it doesn't super matter to really anyone but me, but it was just change of prompts, freshen things up, because I know there were some prompts from last year that they weren't working for me anymore. There were particular ones, like one of them was a number in the title, and I would just constantly choose a manga volume. So I wanted things to be a little less predictable. So we shuffled it up, got some new prompts. That is all the changes that were made. Now, onto the rest of the kind of rules. I have 3 different tokens that I can get on this game. The first one that is the most prevalent, the hive ship tokens. So hive ships are, in the TV show, these are ships of the villains of the show. So what happens with the hive ships, if during the month I don't get to one of the books on the TBRGate, then I have to put a hive ship on that particular glyph or chevron that I didn't get to. So say for instance, I got the Rodney McKay character card and I didn't get to it that month, and say I landed on this glyph during that month and I didn't read this, so then for the next month I would have to put a hive ship on that glyph, and then that would mean if I landed on that again, I would have to read 2 books for that one prompt to then be able to remove the hive ship and take it back to a single prompt. Hive ships will stay on the board until they are removed. So even if, you know, if I had this hive ship on this prompt for February, but I didn't get to it in March, then it stays on until April, and it just keeps going until I land on it and read 2 books for it, and then I can remove it. So I can have a total of 6 hive ships on the board at one time, which I hope I don't, because that would be very scary. The next token that I have is the ZPMs. So these ZPMs are like the powerhouse in Stargate Atlantis. So the way I've designed these is that if I read everything in 1 month, then I get to get a ZPM. I can have a total of 3 before I need to use them. So what happens is, if I have 1, or even if I have 2 ZPMs, then I can use 1 to remove a hive ship. So if I had 6 hive ships on the board and I didn't want to be that terrified, if I had a ZPM, I would use 1 to then remove one of those hive ships. Again, if I had 2, I would use 1 for one hive ship, 1 for another hive ship, remove those if I wanted to. But I can stockpile these until I get all 3. Then if I have all 3 ZPMs, I can use all 3 of them to kind of create like a free space. So instead of having 7 glyphs, I would just go to 6, and I would have like a mood read for the month or something to then kind of create the 7. I hope that kind of made sense, but that's that. Then the last token I have, which I introduced late last year, is the Science Saves the Day prompts. So this is Dr. Rodney McKay and Dr. Radek Zelenka. These guys are the biggest of brains in Atlantis, and they are always saving the day at the last minute. Say, for February, I completed all of the reading, and in February I got 3 5-star reads. They had to be TBRGate books that I got 5 stars for. So, say I got 3, I'll have 3 Science Saves the Day tokens. Then say I didn't read 2 books during that month. So then that would mean that I wouldn't get a ZPM, and I would have to put hive ships on. With the Science Saves the Day tokens, I can use these to swap books. So say one of the prompts that I had to read was a fantasy, and maybe I didn't get to that specific fantasy that I chose, but I did get to another fantasy. So I could use the Science Saves the Day token to swap out the book that I had chosen with the book that I had read. So that would mean I wouldn't have to put on a hive ship, and I could potentially get a ZPM because that prompt was completed. So again, I have a total of 6 of the Science Saves the Day tokens. So once I get to the 6, I just have to use them because I can't get any more. Same with the hive ships. And then the piece that I use to move around the board is a puddle jumper, which we love the puddle jumper. It is the ship that Stargate team members use to fly around the Pegasus galaxy. So I'm kind of dying with the heat, so before we get on to like the readathons that I have to read in February, see, I can't even talk. I'm gonna turn on the fan, and I'm sorry it's gonna make some noise, but I'm sweating. Much better. So for February, I am taking part in 2 readathons, as well as the year-long readathon that is Pokemon. But the 2 readathons that I will be participating in, the first one is, oh wait, I'm participating in 3. Oh, I forgot that. Okay, so the 3 that I am participating in, the first is the Faes and Gays, I don't know, readathon now? It was a book club, but they've turned it into a readathon. It's going to be a 24-hour readathon happening on the 3rd of February, and there isn't really a prompt, it's just the aim of what the book club was, which is to read queer, sci-fi or fantasy fiction. So I will go through my TBR for that at the end of this video. Then the next one is the Cliterature, I was going to say book club again because it was a book club and now it's a readathon. This is hosted by Steph from Steph Loves, who I just adore. She is like my comfort booktuber. If I'm not feeling great, I turn on a Steph video and she's just like a warm hug, basically. I adore her, she's great. So this will be the first round of the Cliterature Readathon. It's happening from the 19th to the 25th of February. There is a bingo board. This is just all about reading like romance. It can be spicy romance, it can be sweet romance, whatever it is. It's just about reading some romance. And then the last one that I'll be participating in is one I'm actually a co-host for, and that is for the Thick Thighs Readathon. So the Thick Thighs Readathon is hosted by Sasha from Sash Reads, Meredith from Reading with Merb, Erin from Sheba and Shelves, and me. So this will be the second round of Thick Thighs, and we had such fun last time. I hope it's going to be just as amazing this time around. So this will be happening from the 22nd to the 29th of February, so that whole last week. And again, there's a bingo board that you can complete. There's not very many prompts. There's some like self-care stuff as well. So it's going to be great. The only really caveat to this is to read books about plus-size characters, fat characters, curvy characters, whatever term you want to use, that. Now, because this was a whole new board, I decided I'm not gonna carry over any Hive ships or ZPMs that I did have in 2023. We're starting the board fresh, and I'm just going to start at the very beginning of the gate. It's a fresh start for 2024, let's go. Alright, so here's the board in all its glory, and I'm too impatient to wait. We have most of the character cards, but not all of them, and they're not laminated or anything, because impatient. We have these die because I've lost my other die because I want to use a D20, but I've lost it, so we're just going to go with these. Board is completely clear, puddle jumpers at the top there. Let's get going with a fresh new board for 2024. Roll number 1. 11. Starting it off with a chevron, because of course we are. Let's just go with this one. Ooh, Colonel Stephen Caldwell. Very nice. So of course the first thing I land on is a chevron. Clearly the board was not happy about being remade, so the card that I got was Colonel Caldwell. So the 2 prompts that I could choose from for Caldwell were a male author or a non-fiction. For this I decided to go with a male author and read a book that I have put on so many TBRs but I haven't read yet, so now I really need to, and that is Nate +1 by Kevin Van Wy. I absolutely loved Damie Bryson Keller by Kevin Van Wy. It's one of my comfort reads, so I am looking forward to this because this also has fake dating in it, I believe. So we have Nate, who is a singer, and he's going to his cousin's wedding in South Africa. He's really excited for it until he finds out his ex-boyfriend is also going to be there. Then he meets Jai, who is in a band, and they were going to have this gig and it was going to be great, but their singer pulls out. So these 2 boys set up a fake dating situation. Nate will agree to sing in Jai's band, and Jai will pretend to be Nate's boyfriend for the wedding. Sounds like some good time shenanigans. I am looking forward to it. It's nice and short, which is great. I do love fake dating. The only thing that has made me like hesitant to read this is the music aspect, because I've found that I don't really gel with music in writing, so We'll see how this goes, but I am excited to finally get to this. It's been on so many TBRs, guys. Right, roll number 2. Well. Right, first glyph of 2024 is Sabido. So then the first glyph that we landed on was Sabido, with the episode for that being First Contact, and the prompt for that is next in a series. First Contact is where we get Dr. Daniel Jackson, my love, who is from Stargate SG-1, and he comes to Atlantis because there's some stuff with the ancients that he wants to research. They find this little like secret lab, and then Daniel and Rodney get like kidnapped basically. The reason I chose next in series for this is 2 reasons. Well, like 2 characters basically. So we have Dr. Daniel Jackson and the Asgard make an appearance in this episode. So because of those 2 kind of like callbacks, I was like, right, okay, we're gonna do a next in the series, because this was kind of a like continuation from the series. So for this prompt, I'm going to read All the Lies by S.T. Abbey, which is the 4th book in the Mindfuck series. I'm obsessed with this series. It's so good. In this, we are following a female serial killer and her FBI agent boyfriend that is tasked with like capturing her without knowing it's her, you know? I'm obsessed with this. This is great. I love the viciousness of our female serial killer and what she does. It's amazing. I'm here for it. It's great. And I also really love the relationship. It's, I don't know, it's like all encompassing, but it's great. It's really hard to talk about because this is the 4th in the series and there's only like, what, 5? So I'm very close to the end and I'm like, what is gonna happen? Right, roll number 3. 9. Another character card. Okay, trying not to freak out. Alright. We have Richard Woolsey. Very nice. That's another chevron I landed on. So the card that I got for this was Richard Woolsey. So the prompts for Woolsey are a non-fiction or a gifted book. Clearly the board wants me to read non-fiction because this is the 2nd character card with a non-fiction prompt. Am I going to read non-fiction? I thought no. But on further inspection, I think I am. Technically, I chose gifted. And so for this, I chose Gender, a graphic guide by Meg John Barker and Jules Scheel. And this was kindly gifted to me by Kirsty from Cape Beth Bookish. Thank you, my dear. I'm finally getting to this. This is kind of a non-fiction. It's just really just talking about gender, like in the real world, and you know, what different genders mean, how society constructs gender, how they portray gender. Yeah, it's a comic, but there's a lot of text and it's almost like a history of gender. I didn't realize when I had this on my wish list that these were the creators of Queer, a graphic history, which I've read and didn't like. So I hope I like this one more, but I think now that I know going into this that it is more of a like non-fiction, I don't know, maybe I'll get on better with it. Right, roll number 4. 9. Hemlinto. So the next glyph we landed on was Hemlinto, with the episode for that being Vengeance and the prompt for that being a horror. Vengeance is such a good episode. We have the team investigating an abandoned underground lair, city thing, and Taylor goes missing. She's lost somewhere in this underground maze and the rest of the team are trying to find her while they are like running from / hunting these hybrid monsters. So the book I chose for this is Womb. So this is a horror about a person that visits this hotel and they ask to stay in a specific room because that is the room that his mother died there. But he has gone to this hotel room because he wants to end his life. And I think he brings to this motel a sex worker who is plus size, so love that. hint hint, I think he's telling her a bunch of really gruesome stories. I think there is something to do with the supernatural as well, because it says something about like the victims of this motel will like get their victim or something. I don't know. It sounds like there could be ghosts, which I'm definitely here for. Roll number 5. 8. Okay, it's another chevron. Another character card. I'm freaking out. Just go with this one. Jeannie Miller. Very nice. Yeah, you saw that correctly. We landed on a 3rd chevron. And I'm kind of losing my mind. The character card that I got was Jeannie Miller, and the prompts for her were disability or a romance. So for this I chose for a romance because Cliterature, hopefully this fits. And the book I chose for this is Along for the Ride by Mimi Grace. Now, I own this on my Kindle. I am trying to get through some of my Kindle books as well. This is also a book club pick. It's something on Instagram. The reason I'm bringing up the book club is because this will relate to a Pokemon prompt. It's a very cute cover, by the way. Okay, so this seems to be a road trip where these two characters are kind of forced to take a road trip together. The woman is trying to help her sister and brother-in-law move across country. For some reason, this guy has to like go with her. So I'm assuming he's a friend of the brother-in-law or something. But these two people do not like each other and they are stuck together. So we have that forced proximity trope, we have a road trip trope. I hope this will be good. It'll be fun. It'll be my first Mimi Grace and I am intrigued because I've heard some really good things about this author. Right, next throw. 6. Are you serious? Wow, okay. I'm about to rage. Let's go with this one. Augustus Collier. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the 4th character card I got. So yeah, I got another character card. Love that so much for the shortest month of the year. So the character that I got was Augustus Collier. So the prompts I got for him are historical or non-fiction. Now this is the 3rd character card out of 4 that is suggested non-fiction, so I think I should probably read a non-fiction. And I'll be reading I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. This is about this journalist who has sadly passed away since, she passed away like during her investigation, I believe, and then this was completed by her colleague who was working on the case with her or something. This is about her trying to catch the Golden State Killer. So it is a true crime about a serial killer in America and this journalist trying to catch him. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this, but it's a non-fiction. But yeah, it should be good, and like I need to read my own TBR, so there's this. Next roll. 9. Laylocks. So the next glyph we landed on was Laylocks, with the episode for that being The Last Man, and the prompt for that being Backlist. The Last Man is about John going several thousand years, I think, into the future. Then a hologram AI version of Rodney helps him get back to the time that he was meant to be in. And, you know, he's trying to get back in time, so we're going with backlist titles. Now, for me, I think I'm counting anything that wasn't in the 2020s as backlist. So if it was published in 2020, not a backlist for me. 21, not a backlist. 2019, backlist. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with the backlist titles. So the book I've chosen was published in 2018, and that is Daughter of the Sun by Effie Calvin. This is the 2nd book in the Tales of Inthia series. I read the 1st book last year or the year before. I think the year before. And I really loved it. It was great. It was a queer fantasy series. Something I really loved about it was these almost like different religious just sects within the world, and I think this is kind of following on from that, because there was something about like a sun temple thing in the book. I'm not explaining it well, but I'm intrigued. So what is this about? Yes, a paladin of the Order of the Sun was sworn to drive out corruption and chaos wherever she finds it. She's been ordered to travel around in search of a great evil she is destined to destroy. And then we have a goddess of chaos is trapped in a mortal body when she meets our paladin, so I think it's some more queer fantasy. I hope this will be really good. I really loved Effie Calvin's writing, so I think this will be a nice one. It's also quite nice and short. Love that. I've owned this for at least a year. So like I say, in 2024, I am going to read my TBR, because it's large. Next roll. 7. Eldeni. So the next glyph we landed on was Eldeni, with the episode for that being Echoes, and the prompt for that being Readathon. Now, Echoes is an episode where people of Atlantis start having these almost kind of visions. Sometimes they think they're ghosts, sometimes they think they're just like hallucinations and all these kind of things, but they turn out to be the remnants of some of the ancients, and they are sent there to like warn people about a like natural disaster kind of thing that will be happening. Because it's kind of everyone was experiencing the same thing, I decided to do the readathon prompt because, you know, we're all participating in a thing. For that, I'm gonna go with one of my picks for the Thick Thighs readathon, which is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is one I recently bought while I was in England. I read the Brown Sisters trilogy and fell in love with it. I actually have a tattoo that is from the second book, and I think this is her first venture into YA, which will be interesting, and I've heard a lot of good things about this, so love that. So this is about two ex-best friends, and they have to go into the wilderness together. Oh, they sign up for a 2-part survival course in the woods, and they have to do this together, apparently. He has OCD, and he's like the cool guy, and she is obsessed with conspiracy theories, which that sounds fun. I love those. But yeah, there's a bit of academic rivalry happening between these two as well, which is always fun, but this does sound really cute. I love outdoorsy stuff too, so I think that could be really cool. Alright, let's aim for our 5th glyph. 8. Tannin. So the 5th glyph that we landed on was Tannin, and the episode for that is The Shrine, and the prompt for that is reread. In this episode, Rodney has a parasite in his brain and he is losing his memory. So for this, I thought I had decided a book I wanted to reread, but then I have just had this other book stuck in my brain for like the past day, and I'm like, well, do I want to read that? So I don't know which one I want to put on the like official TBR. I'll have these two as options, and then whichever one I end up reading in the month, that will be the one I choose. Yes, I'm kind of bending the rules, but you've seen how many character cards I have. The first option for a reread is Sensory, Life on the Spectrum, an autistic comics anthology edited by Bex Ollerton. Oh my god, 5 stars. This was amazing. There are so many different art styles in this, because I think there's like over 50 different creators in this. All of the artists and writers in this are autistic themselves, which is great, and a lot of it is their experiences with autism. Lots and lots of different perspectives on autism, and there is also a bunch of stuff in here that's almost like tips and tricks sometimes, like for meltdowns or for masking or unmasking. I was so in love with this. It made me feel very, very seen and helped me understand some things about myself as well. So I do want to reread this year in particular, because one of my goals is to kind of learn my autistic needs, and I think this would really help with that. The next option is Aftermath by L.A. Witt, I believe. This is part of the Vino and Veritas series, which is a queer small town romance series that you can read in whatever order. In Aftermath, this was following a ex-hockey player, I think, and he can't do the athletic thing anymore because of some injuries. He has such severe chronic pain. Like, it hit really hard for me because I have chronic pain as well, and I really want to reread that kind of pain. I swear I'm okay. And I really want to read it, so I might end up rereading both of these this month. Who knows? 2 more glyphs to go. Let's go. Oh my god. Oh no. 1, 2, it's another chevron. I don't need this month. Here we go. Dr. Radek Zelenka. Cool. Yeah, that's another chevron. I'm surprised I didn't just like flip the board. So yeah, the character card that I got was Dr. Radek Zelenka. Love him. So the prompts I could choose from for Zelenka were a translated book or a book with glasses on the cover. I chose glasses on the cover because there was a book I already wanted to read and it fit, so loved that. So the book I want to read is More to Love by Georgina Kirsten. So this is a queer romance story, and our guy in the salmon colored shirt, he's wearing glasses. So the little like tagline of this is, when a grumpy Korean wrestler meets a sunshine black bookstore owner, an unexpected romance can happen. That's kind of all I needed to know. You know, it's queer, it's a cute romance, it's set in a bookstore, we have a plus size main character, and a plus size male main character, which you don't often get, so that is great. Okay, so our wrestler, he has just come out of a divorce, and when he meets his bookshop owner, he's very much interested, but he thinks that because of how he looks, he thinks he's very intimidating, and so he thinks he doesn't have a chance with the bookstore owner, but he does. This bookstore owner is a little bit lonely, and they have just been so work focused ever since they took over the bookshop that they haven't really had time for much romance. But then when this big burly guy walks into the store, he's like, yes please. So it sounds like a very cute little romance. It's very short, it's only like 130 pages, but I think it'll be sweet. Let's again go for our 6th glyph. 3. Abrin. So the next glyph we landed on was Abrin, with the episode for that being 38 minutes, and the prompt for that is a random number generator. 38 minutes is where the team are inside a puddle jumper that then gets stuck in the Stargate. And the Stargate, as like a rule of science, it can only sustain a wormhole for 38 minutes. I decided to do just like a random number generator for this prompt because it was a bit of fun. And I didn't film me doing the number generator and picking the book, but I have already done that. I went on a NetGalley craze. I requested so many books when I really shouldn't have. I was just like, oh, that looks cool, request. That looks cool, request. Now I have like 30 books that I need to read within a very short amount of time. So that's scary. So I put together all of the ones from February that were coming out that I needed to read, and I did a random number generator through those. I think there are 6 that I had to choose from. I did a random number generator, and the book that was chosen was Your Shadow Half Remains by Sunny Moraine. This is a queer horror, which love, and also this cover is stunning. So this is The Last of Us meets Bird Box. Neither things I have any interest in, unfortunately. This is a post-apocalyptic tale where eye contact causes people to spiral into a deadly, violent rage. So a new neighbor moves in down the road, and our main character just desperately wants some human contact. These two people seem to enter into a bit of a relationship, but our main character starts kind of losing her mind, and all she wants to do is look at her partner. And then things happen from there, I believe. I'm not sure. This is just a quick one. It's like 170 pages, but I'm intrigued by this one and the cover. This was very much a cover request. And the fact that it was a queer horror. I always want queer horror books, so come on, last one. Please be nice. Come on. 10. Whew. Thank you. Haysmill. And then the last glyph, finally, was Haysmill, with the episode being Grace Under Pressure, and the prompt for that being a poll pick. Grace Under Pressure is by far one of my favourite episodes. We have Rodney is stuck in a puddle jumper that is broken, and he is sinking. So the water is rising inside the puddle jumper, and he's trying to survive, while everyone on the surface is also trying to save him. Now, the reason I chose poll pick for this one is because that whole episode is kind of about trust. Rodney says in that episode, he was like, I need to be the one on the surface saving the person down below, and he can't trust that the people on the surface will be able to save him. You know, he's struggling with his trust issues. I am trusting all of you to pick a good book for me. So I have picked 3 manga volumes. You guys will get to pick which one I read. When this goes live, the poll will be on my Instagram, which is always linked down below. Then go to my stories and you can pick which one of these manga volumes I will read in February. All of these manga are contemporary romances. So the first one is going to be a series continuation for me, and that is My Love Mix-Up Volume 6 by Wataru Hanakure. This is a male-male romance in high school, so it's a YA, and it is very hard to describe this. These two guys, they started dating under kind of false pretenses because there was a mix-up or a misunderstanding, but they do decide to continue being in a relationship because they do actually end up developing feelings for each other. It is very sweet and wholesome because these two guys had never really thought about being in a relationship with another guy before, and so they're kind of tentatively testing the waters with each other and discovering that, yeah, they have very strong feelings for each other. It's very sweet and wholesome, and there are some very funny bits in this. I do plan to finish the series this year, so that's fine. Whether I read it now or not, that is up to you. The next one is I Married My Best Friend to Shut My Parents Up by Kodama Naoko. This is volume 1. This is a sapphic romance. It seems to be a bit of like fake dating, which is my favorite trope ever. It is what the title says, basically. So this woman wishes her parents would get off her back and stop saying she needs to marry a man. Her best friend from high school offers to be her wife to make the parents back off, but feelings happen. I love fake dating. I love sapphic romances. I love this whole kind of situation. Very much looking forward to this, so if you want to choose this, go to Instagram. Then the third choice that you'll have is How Do We Relationship Volume 1 by Tamiful. So we have a main character who is very shy and she really loves love, but she struggles to be in a relationship because she is a lesbian. That is very hard to find another girl who likes girls. Oh, she's in college, so it's not high school, it is a college romance. And then one of her classmates says, why don't we start dating because it's not like we have anything else to do. Very romantic. Their personalities clash, which is fun, and then feelings happen because it's kind of fake dating. I don't know if it is like a fake dating, but it is a like why not date each other type thing. But this sounds like it could be really great, and again, I'm very much looking forward to this. So these are your options. So head on over to my Instagram, get onto the stories, and make your decision on which book I will read. Alternatively, if you don't have Instagram or whatever, just leave your vote down below in the comments and I will add that to the tally. We're finally done with the TBRGate section of this video. I'm not actually going to do a Cliterature and Thick Thighs TBR at the end of this video because it's too long. So I will have a separate video for my TBRs for those like later in the month, just before the readathons start. But I will tell you what I'm going to read for the Faes and Gays readathon. So it is just a 24-hour readathon, and at first the only book I was going to read was Daughter of the Sun because it is queer and it is fantasy. But then I thought, why not fit more into that? Because for some reason, a 200 plus page book wasn't enough for me, even though I'm a very slow physical reader. The next one I want to read is Lumberjanes Volume 8. This is a queer paranormal-esque comic. I think it is classed as middle grade, but it's a very fun series about these girls at a camp, and at this camp there are a bunch of creatures and magical things happening all around them, and these girls are just constantly sucked into the shenanigans and they help out with all that. So we do have a trans woman, we have girl, because they're teenagers. And then we have 2 of these girls are in a relationship with each other. We also have a non-binary side character. General queer vibes all round. But this is the next one I'm up to in this series, and I would kind of like to finish this at some point. And then because, you know, those 2 weren't enough, I decided to add in an audiobook as well. But for this, I will read Network Effect by Martha Wells. This is book 5 in the Murderbot Diaries series. I'm obsessed with this series. It's absolutely amazing. One of my all-time favorites. This is a sci-fi novella series, although this is the first novel in that series, and I think the only novel that's going to happen. But this is about Murderbot, who is a very hard to describe character. Murderbot is part human, part robot. We're not really sure kind of what they would class themselves as, and in the first book they are tasked with being like kind of like a bodyguard or security officer to these group of scientists who were doing scientific studies at a particular place. This series has really gone on from there. Murderbot is kind of on their own journey. I don't know what is going to happen here, but whatever Murderbot does, I want to read it, because Murderbot is the sassiest sass to ever sass, and I love them. The queer in this is Murderbot themselves. A lot of people have a lot of issues with classifying a sort of robot with particular queer identities because of the stereotypes, which I understand. I fully understand. I usually absolutely hate it. I love it in this. Murderbot is non-binary and asexual. I am also non-binary and asexual. I am totally okay with this representation. I think it's great, and I think because it's more okay in this kind of sense for me. For me personally, not for everyone. Take that all with a grain of salt. This is only my opinion. But I think because Murderbot does have a lot more human qualities than most like robotic science queer coded characters, that I think this sits better with me because Murderbot is a little bit more humanized than others. I don't know, it's just my opinion. I think this is fine. Do with that information what you will. Do I think I can do that in 24 hours? Honestly, no, but I'm gonna try. Alright, I'm not holding up that stack. Lots and lots of books are on this TBR, and I'm not even finished because I will have my TBR for Cliterature and Thick Thighs readathon later in the month. So check those out to see all the other damage that I'll be doing to myself this month. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like the new board. I think it's very cute. But yeah, that's gonna be it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.